Morning, the bustling courtroom falls silent as Judge Sarah Mitchell enters. Her black robes sweep behind her as she sits on the bench. She carries herself with the composed dignity earned through years of service to justice. Judge Mitchell surveys the courtroom efficiently until her eyes fall on the defendant. Her practiced composure falters for just a moment. A slight widening of the eyes, a barely perceptible intake of breath. The defendant, Michael Torres, stands in a well-worn suit, his shoulders slumped. Though time has weathered his face, there's something achingly familiar about his eyes. Judge Mitchell, maintaining professionalism, please be seated. We're here today to discuss the case of State versus Torres. As the proceedings begin, Sarah's mind races behind her neutral expression. Images flood back, two kids sharing sandwiches at recess, passing notes in class, celebrating birthdays together. Michael Torres, her best friend from ages 8 to 14, before his family moved away. The preliminary hearing unfolds in the charged atmosphere of the courtroom, where the weight of accusations fills the air. The prosecution, represented by a sharp-suited district attorney, begins methodically laying out their case against Michael Torres. The allegations are serious: embezzlement from a community center that serves as a lifeline for many residents. The prosecution presents a series of financial documents, bank statements, and audit reports that seem to paint a damning picture of systematic theft carried out over 3 years, with the total amount reaching nearly $200,000. As each piece of evidence is presented, Sarah finds herself in an increasingly difficult position. Her judicial training and years of experience tell her that she should immediately recuse herself. After all, having a personal connection to the defendant, no matter how distant in time, could be seen as compromising her impartiality. Yet something holds her back. Perhaps it's the way Michael maintains his composure even as the accusations mount. Or maybe it's the memory of the fiercely honest boy who once returned a wallet full of cash they'd found in the schoolyard. The internal struggle Sarah experiences becomes more intense with each passing moment. She's caught between her sworn duty as a judge and her instinctive feeling that something about this case doesn't add up. Her mind keeps returning to specific memories. Michael's strong sense of right and wrong, even as a child. The time he stood up to bullies, despite being outnumbered, and his dedication to helping younger students with their math homework. These memories clash violently with the portrait being painted by the prosecution, that of a calculating thief who systematically stole from those in need. The defense attorney, a public defender who appears slightly overwhelmed by the case, presents their initial response. His argument centers on Michael's claim that he was investigating inconsistencies in the center's accounts. This statement causes Sarah to pay even closer attention, her judicial training kicking in as she notices subtle discrepancies in the prosecution's timeline of events. The tension in the courtroom builds as the two opposing narratives take shape. The prosecution portrays Michael as a trusted employee who abused his position for personal gain, methodically siphoning funds while manipulating records to cover his tracks. The defense, meanwhile, suggests a different story. One of an honest employee who noticed financial irregularities and tried to investigate them properly. Throughout this part, Sarah must maintain her professional demeanor, while internally wrestling with several crucial questions. Can she truly be impartial in this case? Would recusing herself actually serve justice? Or might her unique insight into Michael's character be valuable in uncovering the truth? Is she letting her childhood memories cloud her judgment? Or are those memories actually helping her see something that others might miss? The complexity of the situation is further heightened by the procedural requirements of her position. Every question she asks, every ruling on objections, every response to motions, all must be carefully considered not just for their immediate impact on the case, but for how they might be perceived if her past connection to Michael were to come to light. In this crucial section, Judge Sarah Mitchell's professional expertise and attention to detail come to the forefront. During the ongoing hearing, as she reviews the financial records being presented, her years of experience handling white-collar crime cases prove invaluable. Her trained eye catches something that others have missed: subtle inconsistencies in the timing of transactions that don't align with the prosecution's narrative. The dramatic tension builds as Sarah makes the decisive move to call both attorneys to approach the bench. This is a pivotal moment where her judicial authority and investigative instincts converge. The physical setup of this scene is important. Both attorneys standing close to the bench, their conversation hushed but intense, while the rest of the courtroom watches with curiosity. The prosecutor's growing discomfort becomes evident as Sarah points out the discrepancies in the timestamps between the transfers and the audit logs. This moment is particularly significant because it represents the intersection of Sarah's knowledge of Michael's character and her professional expertise. She's not acting solely on her childhood memories of Michael's integrity. Rather, she's identifying genuine procedural inconsistencies that any skilled judge would question. This helps validate her earlier reluctance to recuse herself, as her insights are proving valuable to uncovering the truth. The scene reaches its climax when Sarah takes decisive action by ordering a full forensic audit. This is a bold move that demonstrates both her authority as a judge and her commitment to uncovering the truth, regardless of personal connections. The order for a forensic audit is significant because it will examine not just Michael's actions, but also those of the board members, a detail that will prove crucial in the story's resolution. The prosecutor's uncomfortable reaction to Sarah's observations serves as foreshadowing for what's to come. His shuffling of papers and apparent discomfort suggests that there might be aspects of the case that haven't been fully investigated or disclosed. In a packed courtroom, highlighting the case's growing significance and public interest. The full courtroom serves as the perfect backdrop for the revelations about to unfold, with every seat filled and tension hanging thick in the air. The presence of the original board members in the gallery adds another layer of dramatic tension. They've come expecting to see the final conviction of Michael Torres, unaware that they are about to be exposed. Judge Sarah Mitchell's positioning in this scene is crucial. She sits at the bench, her stern expression masking an inner satisfaction at seeing justice about to be properly served. Her vindication is personal yet professional. She trusted both her instincts about Michael's character and her professional judgment about the financial discrepancies. The forensic accountant's presentation marks the turning point of the entire case. Their findings completely reverse the narrative that has been presented thus far. Instead of being the perpetrator, Michael is revealed to be a whistleblower who discovered a sophisticated embezzlement scheme orchestrated by two board members. His supposedly suspicious transfers were his careful documentation of the fraud, demonstrating both his integrity and his intelligence in handling the situation. The dramatic irony reaches its peak when federal agents move to arrest the real perpetrators. The board members' transformation from confident observers to accused criminals creates a powerful moment of justice being served. Their ashen faces reflect the sudden realization that their own scheme has been exposed, providing a satisfying payoff to the story's building tension. Judge Sarah Mitchell's official dismissal of all charges against Michael Torres. Her declaration from the bench carries both legal and emotional weight. The formal language of "all charges against Mr. Torres are dismissed" represents the legal victory, while her following statement, that the court owes him an apology, demonstrates a rare moment where the judicial system acknowledges its own potential for error. This public recognition of Michael's actions as not just innocent, but actively righteous, serves as validation for both his professional integrity and personal character. The scene then transitions to a more intimate moment after the courtroom clears. The symbolic gesture of Sarah removing her judicial robes is significant. It represents her stepping out of her official role and returning to simply being Sarah, Michael's childhood friend. This physical act of removing the robes serves as a bridge between their professional present and personal past. Their first real conversation in 30 years is crafted with emotional depth. Sarah's simple statement, "It's been 30 years, Michael," carries the weight of all that time past, while Michael's observation about her nose-scrunching habit reveals that he too has carried memories of their friendship. His comment about her maintaining this small mannerism serves as a tender recognition of how some essential parts of who we are never change, even as life takes us in different directions. The exchange culminates in Sarah's powerful statement about knowing right from wrong, a principle that has guided both their lives, albeit in different ways. This moment connects their shared past with their present situation, showing how the values they learned as children have shaped their adult characters. This part beautifully balances several elements: the formal resolution of the legal case, the personal reconnection of two old friends, and the validation of their shared values. It shows how justice was served not just in the legal sense, but also in validating Michael's integrity and Sarah's instincts about his character. 1 month later, the community center dedication ceremony is in full swing. A plaque honoring Michael Torres's integrity hangs in the main hall. In the crowd, Judge Sarah Mitchell watches her old friend accept the board's apology and reinstatement. She thinks about friendship, justice, and how sometimes the right path isn't always the obvious one. Her decision not to immediately recuse herself had been controversial, but it had also allowed her to spot what others had missed. As the ceremony ends, Sarah and Michael share a knowing look. Sometimes the best judgments come not just from the law, but from knowing the true character of a person.